The girl hears the sound of a gunshot and looks out the window. At that moment, a monster attacks her, tearing her throat apart, leaving her writhing and dying on the spot. The scene then shifts to 1943, showing a Japanese secret biochemical lab where dangerous experiments on humans are conducted. Ultimately, they succeed in creating a monster. The Japanese army officers are thrilled with the achievement, but suddenly, the monster's heartbeat accelerates, and it breaks free from its chains, attacking everyone present. Traditional weapons like swords and guns prove ineffective against it, and it mercilessly kills everyone in the lab. In the present day, the Korean government is transporting the most dangerous criminals from the Philippines to South Korea via a ship. The responsibility of safely transferring them falls on police officers Lee Suk-woo and Lee Daeun. The criminals are brought aboard the ship and locked in separate cabins, bound in chains. Meanwhile, Oh Dae-woong and his team forcibly take control of the Navy's headquarters, giving the impression that something big is about to happen. Back on the ship, two of the deadliest criminals, Young-do and the silent man Do-io, are introduced. A medical officer discreetly fills bottles with blood, following a map to a secret room where the monster from the beginning of the story is kept. It appears lifeless, with worms crawling in its mouth. The others warn the medical officer not to tamper with the creature and inject it with a sedative before leaving the room. On another part of the ship, Seong-do uses his mouth to remove a pin and unlocks his handcuffs. He passes by the security guard's room, where the guards are distracted, playing games. Taking advantage, Seong-do begins his deadly mission. He first goes to the cold storage area, opens a box, and arms himself with deadly weapons. Here, it is revealed that Seong-do and his group had earlier killed some local gangsters to assume their identities, allowing them to board the ship. Shortly after, Young-do also unlocks his handcuffs but waits in place for a signal. Elsewhere, Kim Kyu and his team are moving a large box out of the cold storage. When it accidentally hits a container, it creates a loud noise, alerting 3 police officers nearby. Before the officers can intervene, Kim Kyu attacks and kills them. The group then storms the ship's main control room, killing everyone present and destroying all communication systems on board. Meanwhile, Oh Dae-woong notices a no signal message on the screen and instructs his team to find alternative ways to contact the ship. When no response comes, he realizes something is wrong and heads out with his team to locate a helicopter. Back on the ship, Lee Suk-woo hears gunshots and attempts to use the wireless system to contact her team, but there's no signal. At the same time, police officers hear strange noises coming from Young-do's room. When they go to investigate, Young-do attacks and kills one of the officers. Shortly after, Kim Kyu and his minions arrive. In the corridor, they encounter more police officers, whom they quickly kill, as the police are no match for them. It is revealed that Young-do is the leader of the group. Finally, they succeed in freeing all their allies. Lee Suk-woo and Lee Daeun hear gunfire and rush outside with their team. They confront Kim Kyu and his men. Kim Kyu opens fire with a machine gun, killing many police officers, but Lee Suk-woo and Lee Daeun manage to escape unscathed. One of Kim Kyu's men charges at Lee Daeun, but Lee Suk-woo shoots him in the leg, causing him to fall. Lee Daeun finishes him off with multiple shots to the chest. With all his men dead, Kim Kyu grabs a crew member and uses him as a hostage, demanding that the others step out. Lee Daeun steps forward and tackles Kim Kyu, giving Lee Suk-woo the opportunity to shoot and kill him. The massive bloodshed causes streams of blood to flow through the pipes and into the monster's chamber. The scent awakens the creature. Meanwhile, Seong-do, along with the freed prisoners, reaches the engine room and orders his men to kill everyone there to stop the ship completely. They kill everyone within minutes. When only one engineer remains, Young-do stops them from killing him. At this moment, the police arrive and demand the group surrender. One of the prisoners complies, but Young-do shoots him. Lee Suk-woo starts firing at them, but a fellow officer stops her, explaining that only one engine is currently functioning. Any further damage could drain the ship's power entirely, leaving them stranded at sea. Both groups agree to fight without guns to settle the matter. Suddenly, the monster appears. A man trying to escape is kicked by the creature, sending him flying. The immense power shocks everyone present. The monster, Eyeless, senses its surroundings through heat. Its horrifying appearance causes a bearded man to die of fear on the spot. Lee Suk-woo steps forward and attempts to stop the creature, but it punches him, sending him flying back. Seung-do picks up a machine gun and fires at the monster, but it causes minimal damage. The monster retaliates with a hammer-like blow, crushing Seung-do's head. The gunfire causes the ship's engine to fail, leaving it stranded in the middle of the ocean. Now, only the monster and 4 survivors remain in a cabin. The group flees to another cabin, and when the monster tries to follow them, Do-io kicks it back, allowing them to lock the door. As they run, they encounter the medical officer, whom they capture and interrogate about his escape attempt. The officer reveals everything about the monster and leads them to its original hidden chamber to learn more about it. There, they discover that in 1943, the Japanese experimented with wolf DNA on dead human bodies at a secret facility in the Philippines, reviving them as monsters. These creatures possess heightened sensory and olfactory abilities, are immune to all weapons, and are biologically immortal. As they process this information, they hear the sound of an approaching helicopter. It's Oh Dae-woong, armed with heavy weaponry, coming to attack them. He orders his soldiers to inject themselves with a power booster. Upon injection, their eyes turn gray, giving them enhanced strength and aggression. Meanwhile, Lee Suk-woo and one of the prisoners escape the monster and find themselves in the kitchen. Meanwhile, the monster breaks through the kitchen door and attacks. The 2 survivors are no match for it, as the monster throws them around effortlessly. During the chaos, Lee Suk-woo attacks the monster with a knife, but the blade passes through its arm without causing significant damage. In desperation, Lee Suk-woo bites the monster's arm. Though the monster ultimately kills Lee Suk-woo, she manages to break one of its arms in her final moments. At the same time, Oh Dae-woong and his team arrive on the ship. A frightened, frozen girl appears and frantically explains the danger of the monster. Annoyed, Dae-woong shoots her, killing her instantly. Hearing the gunshot, Lee Dae-in arrives and demands they surrender with her small pistol. However, Dae-woong's men respond by shooting her down with heavy machine guns. Do-io then appears and, upon seeing Lee Dae-in dead on the ground, flies into a rage. He attacks Dae-woong's men, brutally killing them. Realizing Do-io isn't an ordinary human, Dae-woong tears open his shirt and discovers a transformation tattoo on his chest. At this point, the story flashes back to a year earlier. In a warehouse filled with gangsters fighting amongst themselves, Do-io arrives, needing half-dead individuals for his experiments. He takes them to his lab and injects them with high-dose medicines, which causes them to convulse and die on the spot. Do-io was among these test subjects. Their bodies were later dumped in a mass grave. However, Do-io regains consciousness shortly after and decides to lead a simple life. He marries, and they have a son together. One evening, Do-io returns home to find his wife brutally murdered. Oh Dae-woong is revealed to be the killer, and he is about to kill Do-io's son as well. Fast forward to the present, where Do-io and Oh Dae-woong finally confront each other. Do-io is about to attack Dae-woong when the monster reappears. Dae-woong orders his men to attack the creature. Despite a barrage of bullets, the monster protects itself by using a door as a shield and kills most of Dae-woong's men. Realizing his men can't defeat the monster, Dae-woong confronts it himself. After a fierce battle, he sacrifices his own arm, but finally kills the monster. Now, only Do-io and Oh Dae-woong remain alive on the ship. Their fight continues, and they eventually end up on the roof of the ship. When Dae-woong feels that Do-io is about to kill him, he reminds him of his wife's murder, revealing that he was the one who killed her. Enraged, Do-io summons all his strength, stabs Dae-woong in the heart, and kicks him into the sea. Still unsatisfied, knowing Dae-woong isn't dead yet, Do-io dives into the water to finish him off. The scene shifts to a secret island, where the CEO of a chemical lab arrives. It is revealed that Dae-woong didn't kill Do-io's son. Instead, upon seeing the altered genes in the child's eyes, he brought him to the island for testing. Meanwhile, Do-io emerges from the sea and makes his way to the secret island, setting the stage for a possible sequel.